Hi everyone, my name is Richard Young, the creator of this cartoon. I'm not trying to adhere to any particular political ideology, though I must admit I'm probably a little bit right of center in my thinking. With artificial intelligence providing the artistic talent, something I lack, I've been able to put my thoughts and ideas into these cartoons. Today's cartoon depicts Russian President Vladimir Putin clinging desperately to the lab coat of an anti aging researcher, while behind him a fiery pit full of demons reaches up to claim him. He's saying, "Let me live just a little longer." The cartoon is responding to a recent Wall Street Journal report on Putin's $26 billion state funded longevity initiative called New Health Preservation Technologies. This program involves gene therapy, bioprinting of human organs, growing transplantable organs inside genetically modified mini pigs, and ultra-low-temperature cryotherapy. It is led by Putin's own daughter, Maria Vorontsova, an endocrinologist, and by physicist Mikhail Kovalchuk, the brother of one of Putin's closest allies. The reporting documents something unusual. Last September, at a military parade in Beijing, a hot microphone caught Putin telling Xi Jinping that humans could constantly transplant organs until people can live younger and younger and even become immortal. She responded that in this century, humans may live to 150 years old. That conversation, dismissed at the time as eccentric small talk between aging leaders, turns out to have been a glimpse of one of Russia's most expensive scientific priorities. I want to make an argument with this cartoon that goes beyond just observing the news. The argument is this: Putin's unusual desperation to postpone death may reveal something about what he unconsciously knows about himself. Let me explain what I mean. Ordinary people facing aging show ordinary aging anxiety. We don't like getting older. We worry about decline. We hope for more time with the people we love. That's the universal human condition, and it deserves compassion rather than judgment. But Putin's preoccupation appears to be something different. The reporting describes a leader with what one observer called a, quote, particularly acute, unquote, fear of death. He reportedly bathes in Siberian deer blood. He subjects visitors to 2-week quarantines to avoid disease. He has invested $26 billion of state resources in research aimed at delaying his own end. He has spoken openly with another world leader about the possibility of immortality through organ replacement. That is not the behavior of someone making peace with mortality. That is the behavior of someone trying to outrun something. Now, the cartoon's argument is that what Putin is trying to outrun is not just biological decline. It is the accounting that any honest reckoning with his own life would force him to confront. Consider what that life contains. The war in Ukraine, which Putin chose to launch, has by most credible estimates killed somewhere between several 100,000 and 1 million people, when civilians and military casualties on both sides are counted. The war has displaced millions more. It has destroyed cities, orphaned children, ended marriages, and inflicted suffering on a scale that defies comprehension. That war is not the only entry in the accounting. The political opponents who have died in mysterious circumstances, the journalists murdered, the dissidents poisoned, the constitutional manipulations that have kept one man in power for a quarter century, despite the formal trappings of elections, the atrocities documented at Bucha, at Mariupol, at countless less famous places, the kidnapped Ukrainian children deported into Russian families. A person who had done these things and who possessed any moral awareness at all would have reason to fear what comes at the end of life, not because some particular theological framework demands it, but because the deeper structures of conscience demand it. The harm done has weight. The lives ended cannot be returned. The grief inflicted cannot be undone. And at the end of any life, whatever one believes about what follows, there is at minimum the final inability to do anything more about any of it. The cartoon's argument is that Putin's unusual desperation to postpone that moment is itself evidence of what he knows, at a level he probably does not articulate even to himself. He knows what he has done, and somewhere beneath the public persona of the strong man, Beneath the bare-chested horseback rides and the staged hockey games, there is a man who senses what awaits him at the end, and so he spends billions of his country's resources trying to push that moment back as far as possible. This kind of reading has a long history in serious literature and moral philosophy. Shakespeare wrote it into Macbeth, whose sleeplessness reveals what he had done, into Richard III, whose nightmares before Bosworth reveal what his bravado conceals. Dostoevsky wrote it into Raskolnikov, whose fever dreams expose what his ideology cannot suppress. The deepest writers about human evil have understood that external behavior often reveals internal states the perpetrator works hard to deny. The body knows what the mind refuses to acknowledge. I think Putin's longevity obsession is one of these external signs. It is a tell. It reveals what he cannot say out loud, what perhaps he cannot even consciously think. There is also a tragic irony worth naming. The $26 billion Russia is spending on Putin's personal longevity could have prevented many of the deaths that now haunt the accounting. The Ukrainian children killed by Russian missiles, the Russian soldiers sent to die in trenches, the civilians starved or frozen in besieged cities. Many of them could still be alive if Russia's resources had been directed toward life rather than war. A leader genuinely concerned with preserving life would not need a $26 billion program to preserve his own. He would have started by not ending so many others. I do not know what Putin believes about what comes after death. I do not know what religious or philosophical framework, if any, shapes his private thoughts. But I know what his behavior reveals. He's afraid. He is unusually afraid, and the explanation that fits all the evidence is that he is afraid of something more than ordinary biological decline. The cartoon depicts a fate that may or may not exist in literal terms, but the accounting it represents is real. History will reach its verdict on Vladimir Putin, the mothers of dead soldiers, the children of murdered dissidents, the survivors of bombed cities, the families of disappeared journalists. They will reach their verdicts, and at some moment, in some form, Putin himself will face whatever final reckoning consciousness imposes on a life like his. No amount of cellular repair can postpone that indefinitely. $26 billion cannot buy his way out of it. The longevity research can extend his years, but it cannot redeem his deeds. And somewhere beneath the public bravado, I believe he knows it. What do you think? Is Putin's unusual fear of death evidence of moral awareness he won't admit? Or is it just one more eccentricity of an aging dictator? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this interesting, I would appreciate you subscribing to this channel, liking the video, and even sharing it with your friends. Thanks for listening.